Good morning, everybody. This is Morten from Inkish. Today I have the pleasure of talking to Adam from Taopix. Taopix is one of the leading manufacturers and developers of photo-related software. So we're going to talk about that in a little while. But before we do that, I want to talk to Adam because he has recently been appointed as the Managing Director of Taopix. So Adam, welcome here on Inkish.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. Nice to see you again. And I was met face to face back in Niagara a few years ago, but yeah, great to be on the video with you. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
I mean, talking about Niagara, it was actually because you were visiting Graphics Canada, and then we happened to meet each other on the street in Niagara.
Yeah,
and we
totally by chance.
Good wine and good beers, and had good fun. But at that time, as far as I remember, you were not the managing director, but a CFO of Taopix, right?
Yeah, correct. So CFO for roughly around 4 years, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And then for numerous different reasons, the sort of strategic direction of the company and just my knowledge of kind of the ins and outs of everything day to day within the company, it made sense for me to step up to the managing director role. Still sort of looking at it from a bit of a financial perspective. So we have the kind of that side of the business still covered, and we've sort of backfilled my role within there as well. But yeah, looking after the more day to day, week to week, month to month decision making processes and the kind of the operational side of stuff within the business to allow James, our CEO, to look after the kind of the long term strategical decisions, more hands on in that side of things anyway.
I can't help think about it because I mean, in recent years, I think that you more and more see actually CFOs taking jobs as a top management in different companies. Do you think there's a trend that instead of it's salespeople that may have a less conservative view on development of a company, that the CFOs are typical people that have a little bit more, let's say, insight in the economy and maybe better understanding of how to manage it from a financial perspective? Do you think there's a general trend, or is it just a few hiccups from time to time?
Yeah, I mean, we're still a relatively kind of a family-run business in terms of how we operate and how we move, and we're still very, very much there's original investment still there. There's no external investors running this, so we can kind of move in directions that we want to move. So I think we toyed with the idea of making the role either CFO/COO, which is becoming a bit more of a popular kind of role at the minute. But certainly within the UK and within Europe, managing director does sort of state that you are running the business day to day. So you've got the decision-making processes or the authority to make the decisions day to day to move that business as quickly and in the right direction as possible. So I think just that's where we wanted my role to be going. So we thought the managing director was the correct title for that. Industry-wise, I'm not too sure, but yeah, we toyed with the idea of CFO/COO, but then it's just acronyms, and we just thought we'd simplify it and go down the managing director role.
True. Running a software company today, I think it is, especially now since you're also moving into the cloud-based. I think that, let's say in the old times, you bought a license and then you sold some upgrades and there was some support and service. But today, with subscription-based economies in many different businesses, it requires a little bit different view on how you operate your business, right?
Yeah, for sure. So the world is moving to a subscription model, basically, for 90% of services that you purchase. You probably pay a monthly fee now. The business was started in 2007 based on just the desktop software, which was a purchase up front. That was anywhere up to kind of 50,000 euros for their purchase up front. And like you said, then support and maintenance on top of that with our revenue share alongside it. We've changed that completely over the past. We started off on a subscription option, probably maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. So you could either purchase the software up front or you could purchase software as a subscription basis. It wasn't necessarily a SaaS solution at that point, but it was paid for as a subscription service. So it stayed on as long as you continue that. So, and because the world, like you said, has moved towards that more so than ever, we've now stripped away our purchase up front option, and we're just running on a subscription basis only now. We're seeing the benefits of that as well. Customers are much more engaged. It's not kind of like a purchase and then it can be forgotten about. It's a constant payment every month. So you're thinking about it more. So our customer base is much more engaged. Certainly the newer customers than potentially used to be. They could purchase it and then hold on to it for X amount of time. But now it's a much more sort of streamlined, faster onboarding process.
Does that also put I would say a little bit more pressure on you as a company because you have to earn the customer every month? So I mean the development, the service, the support, also let's say new features and all those kind of things probably is evaluated more frequently than if you buy a desktop solution, right?
Yeah, totally correct. So we took a small hit revenue wise in the year that we did move to the subscription model, but the way we sort of priced it was that after the 23rd month of the subscription, we would actually then made more money than we would have if the customer had bought it up front. So we small bit of sort of cash flow, things to think about at the time that we moved to it. But now the recurring revenue side of things puts us in a much stronger position. So that money's flowing in every month. We can forecast things much better. We're not necessarily wholly reliant on making new business. Our biggest asset is our existing customers. So if we can continue delivering the best things for our existing customers, then we will by default make more money and by default probably still bring more customers in as well. So the fact that we've kind of made our bottom line much more stable and recurring based on the subscription model, we're in a much better and stronger position than we were, say, maybe 5-7 years ago when we were relying on the high ticket values of a new sale having to come in every month, every quarter, whatever that might be.
Does that also, I mean, I've always been thinking that if you have I know that, I mean, of course when you invest in software, there's the investment is not only in the software, but also the things that the customer needs to do from their own side in marketing and sales and backends and all those kind of things. But I was just wondering, yet does that give you also new opportunities of selling to new types of customers and more customers? Because let's say the one-time investment maybe is spread out on a subscription, or you see the same kind of customers, or in a difference?
Yeah, for sure. We've definitely had a much more varied array of customers over the past sort of 4 to 5 years. So we can have it's as easy to onboard a small startup as it is to onboard a huge retailer at the minute. So the fact that we do have that smaller price point to get into the market as a sort of an entry level product on a subscription basis allows us to sell to maybe potential startups or somebody who's just already got an existing e-commerce platform and just wants to add some personalization to that to increase the margins, to increase the kind of the profit of their bottom line, basically. Yeah, for sure.
Adam, we threw us directly into talking about your role as a managing director and also the economy of subscription economy. But Taopix, I mean, you create software for photo products, right? So it's like photo books, but it's all types of photo products, also on mugs and T-shirts and
so
everything.
any product that a printer we don't necessarily have to sell to printers. We can sell to retailers and they can fulfill it anywhere. But any product that can have a photo printed on it, have the text printed on it as well, you can create a product within our software that allows your customers, the end users, to either download the software to their Mac or PC, go to a browser-based version of it. We've recently at Drupa launched the Taopix app version as well. So they've got 3 different variations of where they can go to create that product, to personalize that product. And it's a fully end-to-end solution as well. So if you want to have the sort of website side of things, we can cover that for you, all the way to the shopping cart side of things as well. So the software's got a built-in shopping cart. If you want to use that, you can also jump out to use any of the vast array of existing shopping carts in the market as well.
And I mean, obviously, it's still, I think, a very interesting market, because I guess that having, I mean, of course, you said also that you have some kind of, let's say, profit sharing or revenue sharing as part of the business model. So you have, of course, a huge incentive in pushing as many customers towards your front ends as possible. Is the photo market and all these merchandise products, is it a growing or stable market, or how do you see that right now?
From the numbers that we see from our customers, it's only increasing. So we're seeing roughly 10% increase volume-wise.
Wow. Wow.
Now, again, a lot of this, that's year on year, sorry. So a lot of this is intrinsically reliant on our customers doing the correct pieces of marketing, having the right product set up in the software, having their website set up correctly. So we're not necessarily fully in charge of every product that goes through our software. A lot of that is up to the customers. We give the customers the power to basically do what they want with the software. But yeah, we're seeing a very, very consistent, steady growth, especially in the photo book industry as well. So we track the different the different product categories that we have going through the software. Photo book being where we started, why the business was started, where the software was tailored to more heavily than anything else. And it's still where we see our business focusing on more than anything. That is growing, and that's where something that everyone's always feared that we thought would start to tail off. COVID brought personalized products with images much more into the people's mindsets again. It's a very emotional product, and I think people still have that thought process that not as many photos are being printed. So when you do receive a product that has something personalized on there, it means so much more to you than back in the day when you used to see photos lying around all over the place. You see a photo on a mug or a calendar, clock, whatever that might be, in your grandparents' home. It does strike more emotion. It's a really valued gift. So yeah, it's something that we still see as a very much a growing market.
And if we look at the market you address, who is your typical customer?
So traditionally, it would always have been...
It's always changing, right?
Yeah, it traditionally would have always been a printer, a Pro Lab originally, more than anything. So the software back in 2007, when James and Kevin set up the company, was tailored towards the wedding photographer market, basically. So we were trying to offer printers the ability to have a piece of software that their photographers went to create the book that they then sold to the happy couple a few weeks after the wedding, a few months after the wedding, whatever that might be. So it was very much the tools available were very in detail, and you could do as much as you wanted to within that desktop piece of software. Over the years, it has progressed to being a much more sort of slimmed down version of that. So you can still have every single bell and whistle turned on if you wish, but you can slim that product down to being much more consumer focused. And that has allowed our target market to become much broader. We don't necessarily have to just sell to the printer. Our perfect customer now would be an existing retailer who has an existing customer base, an existing database of hundreds, thousands, millions of emails, and their brand presence. So the software can be branded, it's fully white labeled to as many different brands as you want it to be. That's why the one printer could own the license and brand that up for 5 different supermarkets. And the new version of our software allows that to be totally customized across each 5, so you would never know it was the same piece of software working behind there. But it's allowed us to target a much more wider customer base, basically. So a retailer would be our perfect example, but marketing agencies who just want to offer a quick campaign to offer, say, free wall chart that goes on a customer if somebody buys 5 bags of apples is one of the recent marketing campaigns that the customers led. So yeah, you can use the software to be kind of as sledgehammer to crack a nut, or you can really sort of drill it down to be very focused on individual marketing campaigns. But yeah, we can target anyone who's got an existing e-commerce platform basically.
When I meet Taopix, as you know, Inkish is primarily working in the let's say in the printing industry, commercial converters, packaging, and that's those segments. But I guess that when I meet you there, it's just half of where you go and exhibit your product. Because I mean, I guess that also requires that you market yourself into, let's say, other spaces than just the printing space, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're still almost trying to learn how to go about that at the minute as well. So how we target those big retailers and how we target the correct people within those big retailers. Obviously, these employ thousands and thousands of people, and they're not traditionally going to things like a drupa or a
Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at things like So FESPA allows us to get into a little bit more of those sort of areas, but also how we go about just getting the customers that we've got now correct, so that we can show examples to the right people at the right time about how we've driven extra revenue through their websites, driven extra value to the products that they're already selling just by adding a small amount of personalization to it, how it creates brand loyalty as well. So if customers always go to your downloaded application or your website for that, and then they will keep coming back for more and more products just because they know that they can come there for the personalized stuff. Yeah, but yeah, we're still attending the main trade shows in the industry as well. And drupa this year, I don't think we realised how much we'd missed the drupa in 2020 until we'd sort of been back to this one. It was all quite a hectic process as usual. Everyone's left a little bit of last minute to set up the show, but we had a really, really successful show, and it was really nice to be back there. And there's no other place in the industry where we can speak to that many people from that many countries, from that many companies, basically.
But that is super nice to hear, because I mean, as always, the diverse opinions about the trade shows, or even drupa, because I mean, the people that have gained a lot of business of it are of course happy, and the people that didn't see any, of course, not happy about it. So you still see there is a value in trade shows for a company like Taopix.
Yeah, for sure. I think before COVID, everyone has a slight negative perception of a trade show. That
maybe we were saturated, Adam. Maybe it was just like too much sometimes, right?
but it's a vast expense usually, and it's not, especially with the sales cycle that we have, it doesn't show an immediate return on investment, because we have quite a long sales cycle with some customers. But because we did missed most trade shows around the world for a 2-year period. Obviously, drupa was gone for that 8-year gap. It really, really highlighted how important that is to us to fill our pipeline for the coming 1, 2, 3 years. And we also, because it is such an industry standard show, around about 70% of our customers, I would have guessed, are actually attending the show as well. If we wanted to go and visit all of those customers
way too expensive
around the world, the cost of that would pale into significance of how much the trade show actually cost us. So it would, just for that reason alone, I think it would be worth attending. But then we also get to see what our competitors are doing. We get to see sort of their customers get to see what we're doing as well. And we also get to meet many, many new faces and many, many new prospects, and just see how the industry is running in general. So it was a really, really good show.
I would like to talk about competitors in a second, but just before that, I spoke to a good friend of mine that works with, let's say, one of the very, very big companies in the industry, and I was just wondering, because he spoke about the creator economy, because I mean, it seems that the types of platforms like Canva, Vistaprint, I mean, all of them basically, right? They are so creating a new, let's say, type of products that are also typically products 1 or 2, right? But that is an area that you have worked with always, right? Because, I mean, I guess, of course, you can buy 1,000 mugs with my photo on if you like, but I don't expect many to do that. So typically it is your family members or one-offs that you do. So, but how does that play a role in how you as a managing director see, let's say, the development and the future of Taopix?
Yeah, it's something we obviously have to keep an eye on. Canva have came in and really sort of revolutionized how easy it is for anybody to create quite a very, very high-end looking, whatever that might be, PDF that ends up on something that's printed. So we need to make sure that we're sort of keeping an eye on what those guys are doing. We're obviously dabbling in the world of AI, which a lot of the big companies are looking at, and we're trying to sort of figure out.
Some of your competitors
exactly,
so focused on the AI part. Is that also an important part of how you see photo products?
Again, to be decided. We don't think the quality is fully there yet with what it actually outputs in terms of the generative AI world. It's very much prompt-led, so people don't, I would say 95% of people don't fully know how to actually even create a prompt that would get you something that would have a value enough to you to put on a printed product. Ultimately, we don't care how that product gets created. We just want the product at the end of the day to be printed. So if somebody has
made on Taopix software, of course.
to be made on Taopix software. Well, we can all sort of benefit from different things, but yeah, perfectly in a perfect world, the Taopix software would be used, and then. But at the minute, we don't see the quality being good enough to throw that into our software because the cost point of actually generating all of these images is still relatively high. We have concepts of AI working within our software. The devs are constantly working on them at the minute. We're just working out when and how to actually push this into our customers' hands that can actually be a valuable asset to them instead of just being a bit of a fun tool that customers will generate images on, but not actually buy that product at the end of the day. So yeah, we're dabbling with all that at the minute, and we're just sort of working out when and how the best value could be brought to our customers to give the end users the simplest and most efficient way of either just using it to enhance their existing images, or if they do want to generate some stuff, or for example remove the background or cartoonify is a popular version of that. So I think that's the sort of world we'll dabble into first. And similar things like the superhero your child for a birthday card or an invitation. That's where we think there's value in it. But in terms of the generative side, we still see the photo as being our main source of revenues to come. So people taking their own photos is still going to be our biggest asset going forwards. So we can use the technologies that are coming to help us get there, but we think the generative stuff is still not fully perfect yet. So we're holding on to release anything with that until there's a method that our customers can genuinely make money from.
Competition. I mean, often when I talk to people in these online interviews, most people say that competition is great because competition puts you on the edge of always continue developing the right solutions for customers, and of course that is right. I was just wondering, I mean, what is the reason? I mean, let me a very direct answer. Why if people are looking into this market, why should they work with Taopix and not some of your competitors?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in existence for 17, coming up 18 years now. This is what we've done from day one, and we focused traditionally on the photo book market, but then obviously diversified into the other areas of this personalized. But the version that we've just released as part of our drupa package, basically, so a new online version. So we've got the desktop version, which has been completely revolutionized. We're one of the only companies in the market that has a desktop client. If you'd have asked us probably 6 years ago, if that would have still been in existence now, we probably would have said no, but that isn't the case. So we see roughly 30% of our business 30% of the volume through Taopix coming through our desktop client, but it's close to 50% of the actual revenue of the products that are purchased through the software.
Is
that much higher value.
Is that because when you have let's say a client, is that, for example, I remember, when you look at photo books, I'm not a heavy user of photo books, but when I looked in the beginning, you always had to download a client before you made a photo book. Then it became like an online experience, and to me it was a little bit like it was too slow, and it was like the browser experience was not like fantastic. Now we have fast internet. Is that the kind of clients you're talking about, or is it more the ones that run, for example, retail shops, or what are you talking about?
So both really. The higher value things probably come from the pro space a little bit more. So there's more, for example, wedding albums going through the desktop client. I would is the sort of the best guess as to why some of that could be a higher value. But because if you've got an existing online brand presence and you can get a significant amount of your customers to download this client to their Mac or PC, it breeds a lot of loyalty within that customer. It's where they go to. They're not going to Google to search for a photo book. And then you're doing is fighting against whoever's paid the most money to be at the top of the Google page. They're going to that application that is on their computer at home, and it's where they've gone for the past few months, few years. Some people have had these softwares for 10 years as we progress through this. So it does, and you don't have to drive the price down as much because of that, because people are already kind of coming to your software on the back of that.
A question, sorry to interrupt, but was that like a positive side effect when you experienced and had the client as the only solution, or was it part of a strategy to basically to make this, let's say, loyalty kind of scheme as well? Because I mean, being an almost 18 years old company, of course, the technology, internet, customer behavior, all these things have changed a lot and matured a lot during these 17, 18 years. So I was just curious if it was a positive side effect, or was it part of a strategy? And you can say
Well,
anything.
that was the original product. That was the original product. So I think
And now
when
it's
the
strategy.
internet,
Yeah.
when the internet became much faster globally, or certainly within the sort of the westernized world, we had to move to an online product as well. So that allowed us to create Taopix Online, which was released 2012-ish. And that allowed the customers to use the exact same product suite that they had created for the desktop client and push it into the online world as well. So their customers then had two options about how they went about that. So you can push all of your products into both systems, or you can just keep a little bit more of your simpler products in the online world, keep your more advanced products in the desktop world, whatever you want to do with that. So yeah, the desktop client is something that we're still very much working on. We thought it would have started to tail off, but it certainly hasn't. And we're now actually seeing some of the retailers coming to us because of that desktop software alone. And you then obviously get the extras on top of that, including the online software. So the online software that we released as our drupa release, we've took some pain over the past 2 years in basically rewriting our entire online designer in new technology. So because we released that in 2012, it started being worked on in 2010. Technology back then was obviously great, but it was holding us back a little bit in terms of where we wanted to go and how we wanted to address the market going forwards. So it was taking the decision in roughly around 2020 that we were going to rewrite the entire thing. That process began in 2022, and we've done that in React and TypeScript. And again, a lot of pain points in the past 2 years to get to this point. We possibly held on to it for a little bit too long, but it is out in the market now. It was released in 2024, and it allows us now to move much, much faster. So we can design things and develop things in basically a one sprint period and get every new feature out to our customer in a much, much faster process. We can deploy and upgrade customers much, much faster, and it just allows us to basically to move in many more directions that we wouldn't have been able to unless we went through that sort of 2-year pain point.
What about, maybe this is more for, let's say, of interest for, let's say, the printing companies and maybe even the bigger companies as well, but what about APIs and integration to workflow systems? Is that something that you are at all interested in, or is that something that basically comes after files, or how do you see that?
Yeah, no, the API side of things is huge in what we do. So we're trying to open ourselves up to as much of these different technologies that are out there as possible. So the beauty of the new version of the software is that it's all centered around what we call Taopix Core. So traditionally, you would have always clicked on a product on a website, and then it jumps to a designer, which would be either the Taopix designer or one of our competitors' designers. You're still hosted on the website that you're on, but the entire page changes. You now have the ability with the Taopix Online suite to call any parts of the Taopix Core. So if you only want to pull in the photo side of things or the text side of things or tiny amounts of the personalization side of things, you can pull that onto your existing website and basically use our core software in the background running in page on your website to tailor as many different kind of personalization user journeys, tailor it based on a product, on a brand, on a collection, on a theme. You can have designers out there focused on greeting cards that look completely different to your designer, focused on photo books, and it's all just running from the same Taopix core and the same Taopix collection of products.
Does that also mean that let's say that I come to you as Walmart and I want to work with you guys and I want a special Walmart feature, then it's also, I don't know if you want to do that, but it's way easier to implement because now you have made the software more adaptable to different needs. I know it's a pain when you have to maintain and keep the code base intact, but if it was done right from the beginning, sometimes you can easily do this. Is that one of the options, or is that just more to make sure that you only load the resources you need for the, I guess it's both for speed, but also for convenience?
Yeah, it can be either. So they can take our existing, so we're going to have some out-of-the-box designer options, or they can pull apart the designer, completely rejig that on their page, just pull certain parts onto their existing page. But yeah, if they want a bespoke feature, we can now move much, much faster because of the software that we've rewrote the software now there. So we've got a professional services team that can do whatever is required for these larger retailers or anybody for that matter.
Super interesting, and I guess that both with you as the relatively new MD and also the launch of an online version of Taopix at drupa, it's not bad time right now, right?
It's really exciting, yeah. I mean, I've kind of worked my way up through Taopix. I've been here for quite some time now. I think I've coming up 14 years. But this is genuinely the most exciting time it's ever felt. We have the full collection of products out there, so the desktop, online, and the app version now. We've gone through the pain of rewriting the software, so we're in a position now that we can move so much faster. And the contacts that we're getting now with the sort of wider retail world are just spurring up so much positivity and confidence within the team as to the work that they've been doing over the last 2 years, which, like I said, we've kind of held on to for some time now. So it almost felt like they hadn't been necessarily, the devs hadn't had anything sort of going live for some time, but because that is out there now, the team is so energized and so positive, and we're heavily recruiting now and trying to bring in some real sort of key players in the right areas of the business, just to kind of make sure we've got some external eyes over what we're doing as well. So it's not just all of us who've been here for some time looking at this, but we're bringing in sort of industry-specific consultants, as well as trying to recruit some very, very high-end devs back into the team as well.
Fantastic. Adam, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me here on a Wednesday morning. It was really interesting to hear about the development, and as always, great to see you. And please, all the regards to your team. And again, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Martin. It's been a pleasure. Nice to see you.